Thank you once again, His Excellency Ambassador Professor Suji Asawi. Standing on the existing protocol, my name is Sadiq Musa Babalola, and next on the agenda is the opening remark, the keynote speaker. We are inviting Professor John Aremu, Professor of International Relations, Consultant to ECOWAS Commonwealth Investment Market. Topic will be the role of regional economic communities in achieving African integration and FCFTA. Thank you all.
I appreciate the organizer of this program. Very timely, very exciting, and it's something in which we shall have a lot to be able to celebrate in the future. Again, I appreciate all of you for being here, particularly the organizer of this program, and inviting me to be able to be here to look at that subject matter which people have been talking about, the role of economic integration of the entire continent. Africa, we have no option to do this, and the time is now. If we fail to do it now, then the future is not guaranteed. So, I appreciate you for that. And that is why this particular assignment is given. Because of time limit, as I said, let me just go ahead and look at the outline of my presentation. What are the basis for economic integration? We are going to look at that. How does economic integration work? So that we are going to know what we expect from integrating Africa. And then we now look at the emergence of African economic integration from where we are from the beginning to where we are now. What benefit? Oh, I put Nigeria there. I'm sorry. What benefit does Africa have in African value chain creation? That is, by making sure that the production activity actually cross our borders and consumption activity cross borders as well. What's the role of regional economic integration? That is, ECOWAS, SADC, EAC, COMESA. What is their role? And then I conclude. So, position of where we are in Africa, the basis to African economic integration. Just look at that statistics up there. It's not something that is good at all. Right? The continent has approximately 30% of the remaining arts, mineral resources. That is nearly a third of all the resources in the world. Over 40% of the gold is served in the entire global space, 60% of cobalt, and 90% of what God has put in the planet Earth in terms of platinum. Yet, Africa is the poorest and the most underdeveloped, despite these huge resources which God has given unto us. And that is why we have some people, some head of state, that have actually given us some information. And look at the two of them. The former head of state of Kenya, he said there cannot be any reason why we are trading among with other parts of the world, but we are not trading among ourselves. So also the past president of Ghana, we are echoing that this was the dream of our founding fathers, to see an Africa that can trade better among itself. This can only be done under an economically integrated Africa, and therefore there is urgent need for African economic integration. Now, how does economic integration work? We need to know. Let us assume this. I used to call people out because of time limit. Let us look at it quickly. We are going to have a product. Maybe this is a product A, and the price, let us put it in dollar. Don't worry. We put dollar so that we can actually not discriminate between one country or the other. Let's put a totally different currency outside Africa. And let us see 3 countries, 2 in Africa, 1 outside Africa. And let us assume that at a later time, Nigeria and Ghana, they are going to go into economic integration. But let us look at the production cost of this product across Africa and across up to China. That particular product costs $50 in Nigeria, costs $40 in Ghana, but it costs only $30 in China. China is the cheapest world producer of that product. And therefore, if Nigeria did not want to actually buy any of these products from any part of the world, all they need to do is, let's say, they put 100% import duty, and that is what we see in Table 2. with a 100% import duty, then the price in Nigeria will be the cheapest. 100% of Ghana will move the price to $40, 100% of China will move it to $60. But again, let's look at another table, table 3. Instead of 100%, Nigeria just put a 50%. Then something is happening. With 50%, the price will be now be $60 in Ghana. But China is going to be 45. And then Nigeria is going to be what? 50. Which means that Nigeria will be buying from China and still be collecting import duty of 50%. But let's see the last scenario in which Nigeria and Ghana are going to economic integration. And that's in table 4. So now the cost price, $50 in Ghana from Nigeria, $14 in Nigeria, and 45 in China. Why 45 in China? Because import duty of 50% is still imposed on China, whereas the import duty on Ghana has been removed. With this one now, Nigeria and Ghana can go into economic integration, in which Nigeria will now be buying from where? From Ghana, and not from China. But if you are thinking fast, you will discover that for buying from Ghana, we are losing the import duty. Therefore, in every economic integration, there is loss of revenue. Therefore, the ability to be able to gain from economic integration depends on how much you can produce. If a country goes into economic integration without productive activity being put in place, then it's going to lead to a lot of revenue. And that is why, quite some time now, I've been able to be addressing the entire Africa, the African Tax Symposium, to be able to educate their different countries so that the economic integration will not be a loss. Therefore, we need to put in place productivity opportunities and then concentrate on areas of comparative advantage. So Ghana will be buying, Nigeria will be buying from Ghana, but Ghana also will be buying from Nigeria, where we have a better production opportunity than that of Ghana. Now, two things will happen under economic integration. And this is tested in both theory and practical. Number one, economic integration will already lead to what? Trade diversion. We are diverting from China into Ghana. And as we lead to trade creation, we are creating trade between Nigeria and where? And Ghana. So the volume of trade creation must be more than the volume of trade diversion. Because under the trade diversion, you are losing revenue. And that is why we have to make sure that the productive capacity of countries going to economic integration must be improved. A lot of money, particularly to countries like my country, Nigeria, that if you want, you are going to economic integration, but you don't have light. Hello? Then you may not be able to produce competitively and you may not enjoy economic integration. Therefore, if you God, before you can do anything, then let there be light. If we are not wiser than God, we have to make sure that as much as possible, the infrastructure with respect to light is put in place, so as not to actually make production opportunity to be too difficult. Let me just go ahead. There are 4 phases of economic integration. The first one that I've just explained is called free trade area. The free trade area is a situation in which the countries that are integrated among themselves, they remove import duty and every other thing that will not allow them to trade. And that's why we call it free trade area. Free trade area. So under the example I've given, which is Ghana, Nigeria, and China, right? Nigeria and Ghana, they will be having free trade area among themselves. But Nigeria can impose higher import duty on China, and Ghana can impose a lower import duty on China. So if this kind of a thing happens, which is not covered under free trade area, it therefore implies that some of the fast traders in Ghana, they can actually import certain things that are cheap from China and then put made in China on it and then sell it to Nigeria. And that is a trade deflection. So we have to make sure that under economic integration, issue of need of origin is taken care of to make sure that trade deflection and dumping is actually checked. But the next phase of economic integration is customs union. Under a customs union,
is a situation in which countries that are economically integrating, they make sure that the import duty that is coming into any of the country is the same. It's the same. On January 4, 2015, ECOWAS reached a custom union phase. That's a common external tariff in which the import duty charged on any product that is coming to Nigeria, coming to Niger, coming to Ghana, coming to coming to Dakar in Senegal, they are equally the same thing. And that is why you don't see all those cars that have been brought from the Republic of Benin again. Why? Because the import duty will be the same. That is the second phase of economic integration. The third phase is common market. And what is common market? Is a situation in which the factors of production, the policies are harmonized. And when they introduced me, they said consultant ECOWAS common investment market, which means I'm in charge of making sure that the investment market is common. I actually developed ECOWAS investment code, and I participated in developing Pan-African investment code, which we used for the February last year. The last phase of economic integration is a phase in which not only do we have phase 1, which is free trade area, phase 2, which is custom union, phase 3, which is common market, but phase 4, which is economic union. Under economic union, you have single currency. I've heard somebody that is talking online, talking about single currency. You don't go into single currency when you are in free trade area. You don't go there when you are in custom union. You even don't go there when you are in common market. You only go there under economic union. And if you attempt to go there, that's a single currency. You will need to do a lot of policy convergences, which macroeconomic policy objective of the member state will not be able to permit. And that is why it's very important that you move this thing into phases. Now, let's look at the phases I've been talking about. Free trade area, you can discover, is free trade. But common external tariff, no. Movement of factors of production, no. Economic union, no. Under custom union, look at the table. Yes, yes, no, and no. Under common market, yes, yes, and lastly, no. It's only under economic union that you have yes throughout in all those parameters of economic integration. Let me say this one. Whether it is ECOWAS or African Continental Free Trade Area, they agree on the movement of free trade area to custom union, to common market, and to economic union. So we have after now, which is African Continental Free Trade Area, which is the first phase. After this first phase, we are moving into what? African Continental Custom Union. After that one, we are moving into African Continental Common Market. After that one, we are moving into African Economic Union. But this has to be in phases. Let's now look at the emergence of economic integration of Africa. I'll be moving fast because my time is going. I've spent about 8 minutes, making 12. Okay. When the organization of African Union was put in place in 1963, our founding father has that, well, it's very important that after this colonization, we see how to economically integrate ourselves. Therefore, at different meetings, we have some revolutionary leaders, one from Ghana, one from Guinea, Algeria, Mali, Egypt, that say, we have to do it now. It must be by force, quickly. We have another modern leader that said, no, let's do it gentle by gentle. In 1965, you discover that a meeting that was held in Accra, in which Pan Nkrumah gave an address, particularly that is book that he released at that meeting, which is called Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism, made some developed countries to be annoyed, and that actually kick-started the end of Nkrumah. He was actually forced to go on Nessa and finally died. But African leaders did not stop. There was serious AU meeting in 1973, 1976, and that of Moldova in 1979 continued to talk about economic integration. Because we have been integrated to our colonial masters. The ambition we want us to be heirs of wood and to have water for them, not to be industrial countries. And therefore in 1980, a very important step was taken under the Lagos Plan of Action. The we members said, let us concretize our economic integration. There's so much delay. And this demand was finally concretized under African Economic Community Treaty, which was finalized in Abuja in 1991, and it is titled that as a Abuja Treaty of 1991. The treaty has in the objective movement of free trade area, look at it in red, to custom union, to common market, and to economic union, which I mentioned. And it's going to be in phases, in stages. Stage 1, creation of regional bloc where it does not exist, harmonization of intra-regional activities, development and strengthening of these activities across these regional blocks. Then, stage 3, establishment of free trade area and custom union. Stage 4, creation of continental free trade area. So we are now at stage 4 of the African Economic Community Treaty of 1991. And then stage 5 is what? Is African Common Market. And then stage 6 is African Monetary Union and the Parliament. Now, despite this one, you can see that diagram. There is multiplicity and interlocking of regional economic community along Africa. In ECOWAS alone, we have other regional communities inside ECOWAS. So, ahead of say, we may not be able to arrive where we wanted. Let us actually recognize only 8. And that is why in that table you can see the only 8. So, in ECOWAS where we have other regional economic community, when you look at number 6, it is only economic community of West African states that is recognized. In other areas, they recognize Arab Maghreb Union, Community of Sahel and Sahara, then Common Market for East and Southern Africa, and then East African Economic Community, IGAD and SADC. These are the 8 recognized economic community. So, and with these 8, ECOWAS want to move ahead and establish what? The establishment of the first phase, which is the free trade area of African continental free trade area. So this is the roadmap. We are going to start with the first phase of economic integration, which is free trade area. And then it started in June 2015. And then discovered that negotiating group was put in place in February 2016. It's expected by the end of December 2017, we are going to have after. But we did not have it until 3 months later, that is on 21st of March 2018. Now, the signing and ratification. Signing of the treaty was done on the 21st of March 2018. Ratification was concluded when 22 members, which is mandatory, was actually achieved on the 30th of May 2018. And the last country was Sierra Leone, that's going to be it. Nigeria, our country here, Nigeria did not sign until July 7, 2019, and Nigeria ratified on 2020, December 5th. Now let me say this one. Unless you ratify, you are not a state party. And therefore, when after took off on the 30th of May 2019, Nigeria was never a state party. And therefore, she wasn't qualified to be able to actually tell he should select his country as a hosting the place, or select any Nigeria to be the Secretary General of African Continental Free Trade Area. Nigeria knows. So it's not that they are cheating the country. You are late comer. When you are late comer, you can't say you are going to take the first position. So after ratification, anyway, country demand that they have to put in place necessary infrastructure and necessary agreement under that diagram to be able to make sure we benefit from African Continental Free Trade Area. After commenced January 2021, and then as at now, you can now see where we are in terms of ratification. 48 countries have ratified, 54 countries have actually signed. But if you want to know detail, you can see the detail under that particular map. What are the benefits of AFTA? The benefits of AFTA, I'm going to explain it under that diagram you are seeing. The diagram is sorted. Okay, I'll put it there. Right. Let's say that we have a company in Nigeria. That company can have affiliates across African countries. Right? It can have in Tunisia, it can have in Togo, it can have in Egypt, Kenya, Senegal, and Ghana. And that Nigerian company can source input for any of those countries. So also can it sell its product to any of those countries as well, because the framework agreement has allowed that opportunity. So you can see a lot of opportunity of interconnectivity of activity in terms of goods and services as a result of African Continental Free Trade Area. So contracting opportunity, outsourcing opportunity, vertical economic integration opportunity, as well as a lot of homogeneous and vertical integration. So this will lead to a lot of benefits, which is being discussed in the next slide. So it will enhance that, not to produce vertical and horizontal integration, it will enhance efficiency. So many benefits. Because my time is going, you are going to be seeing them as I believe that is given to you for you to read. Now, what is the role of a regional economic community? This appears to be the center of what I should talk about. But I cannot talk about this one without first and foremost actually let you have those fundamentals I've been talking about. The regional economic community, which is FEP of AFTA, are the official pillars of African Economic Community Treaty. That is, ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, they are so important. They are it's only through the regs that AFTA can achieve what he wanted to achieve. As earlier stated, AEC was set up as a gradual process through coordination and harmonization, as well as postgraduate integration of activity of the 8 regs, not the so many interconnecting regs with overlapping of jurisdiction of activities. Okay, therefore Article 19 of AFTA agreement provides that state parties, that is states that ratify AFTA, that they can be members of other regional economic community and regional arrangement of customs union, and whatever they have attained, they should maintain it. Look at ECOWAS. We have attained customs union, but we enter the first phase of economic integration of AFTA, which is just the first phase. But that will not destroy what we have reached. So AFTA is not to destroy your economic integration, but use it as what? As a building block. That is very important. So that's the great role of a regional economic community. Article 8.2 of the Protocol of Trade in Goods states that state parties that are members of other regs, which have attained, among others, higher level of elimination of customs duties, should maintain that one. But going to AFTA, and then AFTA itself will equally go into the next phase, which is customs union. 2 other protocols and principles which are mentioned in Article 5 say that AFTA should also be governed by preservation of acquis and best practices. Acquis means your current position and best practices that are actually from international conventions which members have signed across the world. The question is, how will that be blended into regional institutional architecture of AFTA and into continental integration schemes and action plan? Article 12.5 of AFTA agreement says, regs shall be represented. Actually done a lot to be able to make sure that its member states, each and every one of them, they enter AFTA under a very good policy environment which they are familiar with. In fact, every mechanism for engaging regional private sector through the Federation of West African Chamber of Commerce has helped to consolidate the activities of the private sector and coincidentally I'm a consultant to FEWASI as well. So on and on goes the activities which ECOWAS have done. But the main thing which I want to mention here is that the Commission equally uses existing instruments such as the task force for free movement of persons and goods, ECOWAS initiatives relating to infrastructure projects, which somebody mentioned, as well as that of the Common Investment Code and policy. So not to bother you too much, what other things do we actually say can be used as a position of the regs in economic integration? Let me go to just to the last slide before we conclude. The regs are so important for successful implementation of AFTA, and therefore ECOWAS as an example has demonstrated this. I'm familiar with the activity of this African Economic Community Treaty. In fact, last year I was with the Court of Justice, and I see what they are doing in terms of making sure that they actually adjudicate in economic integration cases. Just about 2 weeks ago, myself and some other professors, we have to get a training for the ECOWAS Court of Justice also, so that they don't actually go into adjudicating cases in domestic environment, but looking into the cases that will affect diplomatic economic rupture among participating members of ECOWAS. Because with AFTA, our Court of Justice needs to be able to know this, and they have to be able to be ready for it. So, although some ECOWAS members said there are some certain things in the past which violate the principle of economic integration, like when the Nigeria closed border, some of us argue against it. In fact, Coincidentally, that was the time I was training the custom people, and I talked to the head of customs. He said, what do we have to say? Thank you for training us. I said, the only thing I want to say is that on the economic integration, you do close borders. You know what's happy, but I'm not bothered whether it's happy or not. That is the situation. Now let us just conclude. From time independence, there are a series of failed attempts of African members say to industrialize. The time has come. Commencement with the legal plan of action to ABUJA Treaty of 1991, and then to the commencement of AFTA in 2019 May. And right now, we are there. In this country, Nigeria, we have National Coalition Office. Other countries have the same thing. And ECOWAS Commission is making sure that it plays its own part to be able to ensure that ECOWAS member states, the 50 members of them, they actually do their own individual role to be well integrated into AFTA. ECOWAS Commission currently respond to trade restrictive practices and making sure that member states caution themselves. After we undoubtedly create winners and losers, therefore, REX are better positioned to be able to make sure that those, the minimization of the losses and maximization of the benefits should be their sole priority. They can equally play the role of mediating disagreement among member states. Thank you.